Hey everyone, in today's tutorial I will be showing you how to do these half up double Dutch braids. So let's just go ahead and get started. I started out with a deep part, and then you're going to section your hair off about 1 or 2 inches behind your ear, opposite of the deep part. And then you're just going to clip that, and we're going to use that later. And I did start out with curly hair. I think it just gives it that softer, more romantic look. And then we're going to also divide this section of hair into 2. Notice that the section closer to my face is a little thicker than the one behind it. We're going to divide that later, but don't worry about that. So just go ahead and clip that up. We'll be braiding this into a French Dutch braid, so just split it into 3 thin strands of hair towards the top. And you're just going to braid the outer strand underneath the middle strand. And you want to make sure that you keep adding hair into the braid as you go down. If you're wondering about the placement of my fingers, I hold the outer strand with my ring finger and my thumb. And to add the hair underneath, I use my index finger, kind of web it underneath, and then pull it through. It actually has the same concept of a 3-strand braid, but instead of braiding the strands over, you're braiding it underneath the middle section. I then like to hairspray that lock of hair as soon as you're done braiding it all the way through. And then you're going to begin the best part, is pulling out the Dutch braid. So with every curve of the braid, you just start pulling out the strands. I like to start out towards the bottom. That way by the time you get to the top, it's a lot easier to pull out. That way you're not struggling to try to take every single curve out of the braid. It's a lot smoother of a process if you pull it out towards the bottom first. And you do want to make sure to hold the end of the braid kind of tight. So the reason why I keep going back and tugging on the same exact piece that I've already pulled out before is you don't want to pull out too much at a time. You don't know how big or how small you want it, so you kind of have to keep eyeballing it and keep going up and down the braid to see if you want to pull it out a little more or just keep it the way it is. Otherwise you would have to rebraid the whole thing, which I am guilty of doing myself. So you're going to let go of those 2 clipped hairs that you had and just go ahead and let it fall towards the back. And when you do switch hands, you want to make sure to have it a little tight. You don't want to drape it too much because again you are going to have another braid coming around the side, and that one's going to go lower than this one. So keep it a little high, and then you're going to secure it with bobby pins depending on how many you need. My hair tends to fall throughout the day, so I always want to make sure to secure it with enough bobby pins, and you'll feel it. You'll feel how tight or how loose it is. If you shake your head a little bit, you can feel it already falling. I did not tie that Dutch braid with an elastic. I don't need to because we're going to be rebraiding the end of it later. You can if you want to, just so you feel that it's secure and it won't loosen up, but I didn't want to deal with the inconvenience of removing the elastic if it wasn't going to undo in the first place, and I wasn't worried about keeping the end intact. So this front portion, after I let it down, I divided the top. It's pretty much my bangs and a lock of hair that I wanted to be able to just drop down and frame my face. You can make it as thin or as thick as you would like. Here I made it a little thinner. I usually tend to make it a little thicker, but for the sake of this video, I kind of wanted it to be a little better seen, so I made it thin. And then you're just going to go ahead and do another French Dutch braid here. And again, you're going to take the outer strands and put them underneath. The whole time you are adding the bits of hair that are underneath the braid. So grab the other outer strands, put them underneath, and just go ahead and do that all the way down. You do want to try to make the braid as tight as possible. Even though you are going to be pulling it out later, you want to be able to have the braid completely intact, and it'll look a lot better at the end. So here, again, I'm hairspraying it. I'll provide the information for the hairspray down below. And the thing I like about this hairspray is it's a mousse and hairspray, so you could hairspray it really close, as you could see, and I kind of just spread it out like a mousse, and that way it holds my baby hairs a little tighter and they don't get all crazy when I start pulling it out. And again, with each curve, you're going to go ahead and pull it out. It's a lot easier to see with the mirror, that way you see the exact curves that you're pulling out. And again, I start from the bottom and go towards the top. With this second braid, I wanted to be able to show you a different way to pull it out. The first braid, I fully braided it all the way down, and then I started tugging on the hairs. This second braid, I stopped halfway, I hairsprayed it, and then I began to pull the curves out. It makes it a little easier, but again, depending on your hair type, you might want to stick with keeping it fully braided all the way through and then pulling it out. These braids have become really popular, and I have quickly fallen in love with them. I really like the way that they look. Don't get me wrong, I love all kinds of braids. I love the tight ones and I love the loose ones. I just think this looks really cute because it gives it a more bodied and fuller effect, and it's a lot more romantic than, you know, really tight braids. So then you're just going to go ahead and wrap this braid below your first braid, and you're going to drape it, of course, a little lower, and you're going to place it and bobby pin it right on top of your first set of bobby pins, which actually makes it a lot easier since those initial bobby pins were already securing that first one. You will actually witness this later, but I am guilty of putting too many bobby pins in my hair sometimes. I'm just paranoid of them falling out. But for this specific hairstyle, in this specific spot, you can't really put too many because you will be covering it up later. So go ahead and release that last section and just tuck it behind your ear, or if it was a longer lock of hair that you let run by your face, you can just let it loose. And with the ends of those two braids, you're going to form it into a Dutch braid. So just divide it into 3, and then again braid the end pieces underneath the middle. And you're just going to go ahead and do that until you've ran out of hair. And then you don't want to be grabbing any hair. This isn't a French Dutch braid. It's just a Dutch braid with those 2 end pieces. So then when you are all finished with that, you're going to grab hairspray, and I think this is the most important part for the hairspray just because it's the very end of those pieces. And once you feel like there's enough hairspray to fully wrap around each curve, then you're going to start tugging on the curves and pulling it out again. And when you're all through with that braid, you're actually not going to tie it. We're just going to wrap it around and bobby pin it. But you loop it downwards, and you're going to wrap itself around, and then it's going to end up opening out a little bit. And sometimes, if you do this right, it'll end up looking kind of like a flower. I can't always get it, to be honest, but sometimes I just kind of make it a little bit of a messy little mini bun right there, and either way it still looks really cute. And then you are going to want to secure these with quite a few bobby pins because, again, there is no elastic holding this, it's just the bobby pins. So there you have it, that little mini cute bun, whatever it is. I still think it looks really cute even though it doesn't necessarily look like a flower. And then with this last section of hair, you're just going to twist it. It's a really simple twist, and it's going to pretty much finish the whole hairstyle. It'll give this side a really polished look. So just twist it and wrap it right behind that little mini flower slash messy bun, whatever you want to call it. And this requires just a bobby pin or 2 just to keep it in place. So there you have it, the double Dutch braid. with a little side twist and a flower or a little mini messy bun. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you.